3, 2, 1. Smoke rises in the west. Hillary's money travels east. With each passing day, the smoke circling Hillary Clinton's campaign gets thicker. WikiLeaks continues to release thousands of emails which detail the extent of the criminal activity surrounding not only her campaign, but also the Clinton Foundation. We've already had 2 people pursue other interests thanks to releases from Project Veritas Action from subcontractors who were hired to incite violence at Donald Trump's rallies. That's a felony if you're keeping score, so a complicit corporate media could blame it on him and his violent rhetoric. The information released so far implicates nearly everyone in close proximity to Hillary and Bill Clinton, including, wait for it, President Barack Obama himself. And it's not like there's any love lost between Obama and the Clintons. Moreover, these are both primary sources publicly indicating serious crimes of collusion, conspiracy, and fraud. And you know what primary sources are, right? They're those things that CNN and the New York Times never seem to refer to in their serious journalism while covering anything having to do with the Clintons. A mass DDoS attack on these pillars of the Fourth Estate and the architects of globalism occurred on Friday, including George Soros himself. You can give him a ring now if you want. And presumably this happened in response to reports that WikiLeaks founder-in-chief Julian Assange had been extracted from his asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. And they say the revolution won't be televised. Well, only if we say it won't. Because against this background, I want to refer to you to a report that came out on October 16th detailing a $1.8 billion transaction cleared through the Bank of International Settlements, otherwise known as the BIS, and the Bank of Qatar, facilitated by JP Morgan Chase from the Clinton Foundation. I'm going to repeat that number for you. $1.8 billion. Now, why would the Clinton Foundation do this? Well, there are a couple of reasons I can think of off the top of my head, and sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, but in most cases, Occam's razor is simply the best tool for the job. And since we only have the proof handed to us from sources like WikiLeaks, Project Veritas, and Charles Ortel, whose work has uncovered close to $100 billion in graft laundered through the Clinton Foundation, I will engage now in some of that rank speculation and conspiracy theorizing the media accuses us of. So let's get started connecting a few dots, shall we? First, hacker group Anonymous released the results of a massive poll they conducted in which Donald Trump was leading Hillary Clinton 67-19 nationally. Unlike most of the polls reported breathlessly by the corporate media, this one was oversampled in favor of Democrats over Republicans by a grand total of 0%. If this poll and other accounts I've heard of disastrous internal polling are anywhere close to correct, then Hillary is doomed on November 8th. This thesis is backed up by Hillary's abysmal performance in the last 2 debates, wherein she widened what I call her authenticity gap with voters. She even compounded her alleged crimes by explaining to everyone what the U.S. response time is for launching nuclear weapons, thus proving to the entire world that she is the one with a temperament unfit to handle both state secrets and the nuclear launch codes. Now, this is a point I made quite pointedly post-debate. Next, we have a report from Judge Andrew Napolitano over at Fox News that it was patriots within the National Security Agency itself that hacked the Democratic National Committee in a bid to derail Hillary's candidacy. Could it be that they are the source of all these Podesta emails being released daily by WikiLeaks? Then think back to the report from an NBC staffer, no less. After Hillary's interview with Matt Lauer back in September, where she explicitly calls Donald Trump a fascist, takes one to know one, I guess, and acknowledges that he will put her and her staff in jail if he wins. Quote, "If that effing bastard wins, we all hang from nooses. Lauer's finished, and if I lose, it's all on your heads for screwing it up." She's not real good with the whole Dale Carnegie thing, right? This is a statement that Trump emphatically made at the second debate when he said, "because you'd be in jail." And in my opinion, that won him the election on November 8th. Her crazed warmongering with Russia over Syria is losing her votes. And those undecided voters she was supposed to pick up by looking more presidential than Trump at the last 2 debates are rapidly moving to Green Party candidate Dr. Jill Stein, who is now routinely polling 4 to 6% after polling just 1 to 2% a month ago. Now remember, Dr. Jill Stein is the one that actually went on Fox News and said that Hillary was more dangerous than Trump was. And the minute she did that, her poll numbers started to rise. And then lastly, I note that Qatar is one of the few countries with which the U.S. does not have an extradition treaty. Now, doesn't that make you just a little bit curious? Because with Obama now implicated in her crimes, he's not necessarily going to just pardon her on his way out of office if Trump wins. He's no longer bound to her psychotic prisoner's dilemma that she put him in. In fact, the opposite might occur, that he trades giving her over for saving his own hide, and that would finally make him worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize he was handed for drone striking brown people the world over. And if that happens, Hillary better have a bug-out bag packed, full of cash. Hint, hint. The strongest defense Hillary has in the minds of people who are committed to voting for her is that despite all of this smoke, there is no fire. That nothing seems to stick. But that's the thing about power. And Hillary, for the next couple of weeks, still has plenty of it, based on the threat of retribution once she's elected. But power is ephemeral. It dissipates the second you no longer have leverage over the other person. In the past week, since the Podesta emails and Project Veritas videos have surfaced, we're seeing members of the media beginning to cut bait and virtue signal towards Trump. Not dead-ender crybabies like Bill Kristol. He's friggin' hopeless. I'm talking about people like Megyn Kelly, who now have to act like journalists to recapture a fraction of the audience lost stumping for Hillary. And what all the smoke surrounding Hillary is saying to me quite clearly is that there is dissension in the lower ranks of the pillars of the empire. Otherwise, none of this information would be common knowledge. You know, there's this rule in screenwriting that conflict doesn't create character, it reveals it. And it seems to me that we're seeing the pressure created by a potential Clinton restoration is revealing in the right people the content of their character rather than the color of her money.